your sympathetic nervous system. It's the feeling of like being stalked on a nature program. That chemical, that hormone that causes adrenaline is highly addictive. And leaders want the us versus them. And when I mean us as the Christians, them are groups of people that they are imagining are targeting them. People aren't targeting Christians. They're exposing hypocrisy, illegal legislation, homophobia, and violations of human rights. Christians think people are targeting them when someone says that you should not make a law based on a religion. That's not targeting or persecuting. That's reminding people of what the law says. Christians believe they're being persecuted if the law limits their hate speech, their hateful behavior, or their white privilege. And it's not hate speech to tell somebody they're a homophobe. It's not hate speech to tell somebody that they're making an establishment of religion the law, which is unconstitutional. It is hate speech to call someone a bad word when their actions don't support the word you're using. But religious groups run on fear. The protect your children or we need to protect the family is built on fear. Make America Great Again is based on fear. It's all about going back, preserving and protecting white supremacy, religious freedom that goes to the extreme where it violates and causes harm to other people. If you want to be religious, fine. Don't make it the law. Don't shame people for being different. As long as what they're doing is legal, ethical, and no one is being harmed, stop targeting people. The problem with a lot of Christian groups is they target people and legislate things into law that are unconstitutional. People need to stop making their beliefs the beliefs that everyone else has to follow. The Ten Commandments don't belong on any public land. If you want to put it in your front yard and be weird, that is fine. But don't put it in places where people who aren't Christian or Jewish are going to be. Nobody has a right to make someone else so uncomfortable because they take their freedom and violate other people's choice to be safe and happy in their own little bubble. Nobody has a right to stand on the side of the road and scream fear at people who have never done anything to you. No Christian has a right to stand on a corner and scream that people are going to hell. And I've met a few people in California, white Christians standing on the side of Sunset Boulevard with racial slurs or homophobic slurs, screaming about the end of the world. And I mean, if that horrible person is going to heaven, I don't want to go there. I don't believe it exists. Religion is run on fear. Anyone who denies this has a warped sense of religion. When you think of religion, the first thing that usually pops up into people's mind is the Bible. And when people say, if you could describe religious people you know, would you call them free thinkers? Or do they have a lot of rules? People would say yes and yes, or no and yes. Religion is all about rules. Religion controls, it does not free. And just because your church doesn't prey on people's fears doesn't mean the words from the pulpit, the sermons, aren't preying on people's fears. Every sermon I ever heard in 7 churches is all about fear. You're not enough. You're doing something wrong. there isn't a place for you. It's all about fear. If religion wasn't built on fear, nobody would stay. Because if you don't fear damnation, hell, and loss of spiritual existence, who the hell would put up with the abuse and the trauma and manipulation religion offers? Only a screwed up person would stay in that environment. If there was no threat, no fear, no retribution from a domestic violent partner, nobody would stay. People stay because they're afraid of the consequences of leaving, of having nothing. Because when you make religion your identity, you will lose everything if you don't live by the fear they want and force you to have. And Christians will be the first ones to claim, oh, we're not leading in fear. That's gaslighting. Everything about religion is preying on fear, getting people to be afraid, and gaslighting. Without fear of consequences, fear of damnation, and fear of loss of social interaction, nobody would put up with religion. Unless it's to gain power. I mean, the only reason Trump puts up with religious freaks is because he likes being in the White House. He wouldn't have gotten into the White House if he hadn't gotten the support of the white supremacists. Fear creates a toxic environment. And even if your church doesn't live in fear, it preaches it. Every church that preaches that you are a sinner, that you are evil, is fear.